Hello everyone, it's Amy and welcome back for week 197 of Build Your Stash and Craft. Today we're going to make some yo-yo circles and oops, I forgot to rethread my needle. I already just did this video and the video was sideways and so I don't know how to edit that. I think that my editor would turn it around, but then I think it would be long and skinny. And so we're just going to do it again. I've undone my yo-yos and we're just going to start again. The way that I thread my needle is I pull the thread between my thumb and my forefinger till I can just open them up and see a little bit. Then I take the eye of my needle facing up and then I just kind of slide that right on top of where that thread is, and that's how I thread my needle. So especially this needle has a really small eye. I have a hard time taking the thread to the needle. So I'm going to use a double. I'm going to knot it double because I'm going to put a knot on the thread and my thread is doubled. And the reason that I'm doing that is so that I don't pull the needle off the thread. Whenever I just put a knot in one side and leave the other side there, I always pull it off. So I have two circles here. In the other video, I had cut one out and had one ready. But, so it's already cut out. What I used for my circles was I just used two bowls, just flipped them upside down, true line, and then I cut just inside the line so that it doesn't show, unless you have one of those pens that disappears. Or if you're going to fold it over like this, then you don't have to worry about it because it will be on the inside. But I always used to just sew mine around the outside edge, although they have a little bit of a raggedy center when you do that. But I thought that to do the circle, to fold it in, that you had to like fold it over and iron it down and, and maybe put little nicks in it or something. And then I saw Sonia do it and she just folded it over, just about the same all the way around. And she just folded it over. No extra ironing or anything because I don't like to iron. So you just fold it in, and this was completely flat when I did it the last time. So all I did was I just went around, and as I went around, I just folded it in about 1/4 of an inch, and then just take some little small stitch, just a running stitch, which is just in and out and in and out, so that you can gather it. And just like I said, just fold it over. And then when you get to where it's standing back up again, just fold that down. And even though it's a long ways around the circle, you don't need a super long piece of thread because by the time that you're done and you gather it up, you're not going to have used a whole lot of thread in the first place. So you don't have to keep it flat all the way around while you're sewing. If you start getting short on thread, just pull the end that you've already sewed, pull it tight so that you have more thread to work with. This piece that I have here will probably do both circles. Because like I said, you really just use a little bit of thread. You just have to have enough to work with. Which, in the last video, when I knotted my thread and cut it off on this one, I cut it too close to the knot and my yo-yo came out. And if your yo-yo comes out pretty much from what I have been trying, there's no way to save it. You need to just open it back up and just start over. Trying to figure out, you can't knot it where you cut it. And, if you're to try and go back far enough till you could cut it, and then it's not worth it. So if you nick your thread, or if your thread breaks, just start over. It doesn't take that long, so it'll be just fine. And if I didn't say it already, you just want your stitches to be about the same size. And the smaller, whenever you're gathering anything, the smaller the thing that you're gathering, if you're making a little tiny flower, you want your stitches to be smaller because that every stitch gives you a gather. So when you pull it tight, that's how your gathers are going to look. So if you have big stitches, they'll be big gathers. Small stitches will be smaller gathers. So, and then what I'm going to do is right here is my knot. So I'm going to go just a little bit past my knot, but not catch the thread or catch the knot or anything, because I want to be able to pull on it. So now there we've gone all the way around. So we're just going to push the bottom in and then just grab a hold of it and just gather it up. Just kind of hold it there and just pull it till it gets all gathered up like this. And then once it gets gathered up, you're going to push it down and just kind of play with it a little bit. Make sure that your center circle is about the size that you want it. You can make them super, super tiny and tight like that, you know, and you can make them all the way out to a bigger size. So just kind of play with it and get it to about where you want it. If you're doing something where you're using multiple of your yo-yos, you might want to make sure that your circle in the center is about the same, because that will also make your outside about the same. And then once you get it there, then you're just going to kind of go in underneath a little bit in the gather, not on the bottom, because you want that to be free. You know, you don't want to sew the bottom together with it. Then I'm just going to go through. Make a loop, put your needle through the loop, and that will make a knot. And I usually do that twice. Make it nice and tight, and then nick it off. And then kind of tuck it back in there. Rearrange the gathers. I put the needle in my fingernail right there, made a nick in it. And there we go. Now we have one where it has a nice clean edge on it, and they're so pretty. I just think I really like them. And like I said, I never really used to make them. If I did make them, I made them with the raw edge because I thought that that was way too hard, and really just sitting there and folding that over as you go is not hard. Because you don't have to have anything perfect about it. Now I'm just doing a running stitch, just with this one being flat. I'm not turning over the edge. And this way you can see, you know, the difference between the nice clean edge and the raw edge. And the more that you like mess with these, you know, like and depending on the weave of the cotton or whatever you're using, you know, if it's really loose as you're going around and doing this, you're going to make those edges more frayed. And you know, so that's what's going to be the difference, is that the center circle is going to be frayed. But you know, that just depends on if you like that look or not. It never really bothered me that much. Oops, I'm running out of battery. So, you know, I always just did it this way because I thought the other way was going to be too hard. And we're almost to the end here. There's my knot. I want to come back up just the other side of the knot, just so there's not a flat spot in the gather where those two are spaced apart. So there we go. Tuck that into the bottom. And I was noticing on the last one, which I really hadn't noticed before, like when you suck them up like that, they kind of look like a little bag, like a little, you know, like handbag or a little money bag. I think that's cute, and I've never noticed that before. Okay, so now we're just going to just give it a bit of a fluff and a pull and figure out exactly how we want it. And again, whether we want that hole super tight or whether we want to actually have like a hole in it. I do have to say, when you have this, the messier edge, the straight edge that you haven't folded over, you don't wind up with as much of a hole in the center. And sometimes if that's the look you're going for, then doing that makes it, really gives you that nice hole in the center. So I've got that far, so I'm just going to go in and then come back out and grab that loop, pull it tight, do it one more time, so hopefully this doesn't come undone like I did last time. Go through the loop, give it a pull, and cut it off. And there we go. And then I'm just gonna adjust that a little bit right where that knot is. And so there we go. So this is what it looks like if you don't have the folded over center. So, and see the hole is pretty much closed up by the extra material that is sticking out there because it wasn't folded under. So that is what they look like. They look great layered up. They would look cute on a shirt if you made them like little flowers and maybe drew some, with a fabric pen, drew some stems and petals. You can bling them up and do all sorts of things with them, but they are just the easiest, simplest, great sitting in the evening project. And I have been working on them after I saw Sonia do them like this with the nice clean center. I thought they'd make a really cute book cover. They'd make a cute card too, just the way I said with the shirt. Put them on a card and draw some little stems and leaves on them. And I'm working on a journal cover, and so I have these, and then I just lay them out as I do them to, so that they're in an order that I like. And I think that's going to be about the right size to put on the front of a journal. And then I'll put it on some fabric and use the fabric to wrap around the journal. But I really like the way that that one looks. And to hook them together like that, hopefully my camera won't go dead. But the way to hook them together is you just make your knot. You're going to I usually find like a spot that's kind of flat. I kind of go in a little bit from the back, but really on that little flat part. I'm going to be right back. Sorry about the interruption, but that also let me charge my phone a little bit so that we don't run out of battery. Okay, so to sew them together so that you can put them together like this, I find a flat spot on the flower, but you want to go into this part here, like as it folds over here. So you're going to go in and kind of a little bit from the back, just so your knot is a little bit in the back, but still in that, I don't know what you would call it, like a ditch or something, and in that part. And see how I've gone through there and come out there, just right there, like that. Okay, then you're going to take your next one and find the spot that you want to fit up against it. And what you're going to do is you're going to hold this up here and say, okay, I'm going to go in here. Again, in that part that has been folded over. The fold. Put it in the fold. Goodness gracious. Couldn't think of what to call it. And then what I'm going to do is I went in right here. This is where the other one is, the knot's there and the thread is there. So I want this stitch to be as big as that stitch. So I'm going to say, okay, I went in here. I want to come out right there. And so now that's just going to pull right up against there. And I am going to just outside that knot, I'm going to go through the fold and out the back. And when I pull this together, that hides the knot. So see, now the knot is gone. And then we're just going to come to the back here. And we are just going to put a little knot in it. And it will be all hooked together. So, and actually, I don't think I'm going to put a knot because I really don't want to hook them together. So, I'm just going to kind of give that a pull and cut them apart. But that is how you hook them together. And then once you have them hooked together this way, you can do like a whole line of them. And then what you do is you do another whole line of them. And then you just take them and you hold them up against each other. And you just do the same thing, except instead of you got this line and this line, then you just hook them together this way. Right there, right there, right there. And then take another line of them and hook them together exactly the same way, just like that. So you could even fold them together like this. And then once you get the line, well, you could even do it when they're single, and then just go through here and go through here, just the way that we did with that. And that's what they look like. So, and then, and they also look really great for layering. I just kind of wanted to show you that, which is why I didn't want to sew them together. Because if you take, now, these ones are so close together. They were I think this was 4 1/4, and this was just over 3 1/2. So there's about a 1/2 inch difference between the two circles, which is not a whole lot. Once you sew them together. And this one I did not fold. If I had folded this, it would have been even smaller. If you fold them over, you've got less fabric out there, where this one I left. So, but there is, they look pretty layered. And like, here's one of last week's puff flowers. And, they just look really cute layered up. Had I folded this one over, it would have been a little smaller, and it would have been more like that as far as the layering goes all the way around. So that is how simple they are. They really are simple. I used to think they were much harder than they were. Like I said, I used to do them like this, and if you put something in the middle, they look pretty. But I always, you kind of have to do that, because that middle just looks kind of funny. And I always thought doing them this way was way too hard, but it's not. It's so simple and a great thing to do in the evenings. So thank you very much for stopping by. For next week, we're going to use what we have here. So because I have not been to the store lately, so I haven't been able to pick anything up. But we have a huge stash. It's been, almost 4 years now. So we have enough here we can find something to play with. So next week I will be back, and I don't know what we're going to do, but we will do something. Thank you very much for stopping by. I really do appreciate it. And I hope that you all have an outstanding day. Bye-bye.